and the good work you're doing in this county.
Thank you.
So briefly for a start, we'll start with just briefly describe to all our viewers and UDA members and every resident of Nakuru County, who is Governor Susan Kihika.
Susan Kihika is just a girl who grew up and was born in this town of Nakuru, who started life not necessarily wanting to be a governor, because I don't think I would be lying if I told you that I grew up with just wanting to be a governor. That was probably never in my mind. I wanted to be a lawyer. I remember from my youngest days, I just wanted to be a lawyer. And because in our house, my dad was, he was one of those dads, like most of our dads. To him, it was about education, education, education. And that was a bit intimidating, but very loving to his family, but a bit intimidating. So most of my family members would shy off from telling him, like arguing with him. Like whatever he said, you know how it was with most of our dads back then. Not necessarily so much how we are as parents now, but that seemed to be the case. But I would always argue with him. Like he would say it's A, and I would tell him, no, I think it's B, and I would say why. And everybody would be like, wow. So when even my brothers were in trouble, they would send me to him to go ahead of them so that he can relax and sort of not be too harsh with them. So from a very young age, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I did everything towards that. I went to high school, finished high school, went to college, began my school career knowing that I wanted to be a lawyer. But at the back of my mind, I also liked politics. I don't know how that is so. So when I first went to university, I did a degree in political science because I was in the US and you can't do law as a first degree. So even doing political science, for me, it was just a filler. You know, it was something to do before I really get to my law. So I graduated in political science, and then after that, I went to a very, very good law school, completed my law studies. And in my journey towards being a lawyer, I always had this, I guess, in my head, thought that I wanted to be a human rights lawyer. You know, I always had that thing, you know. I'm that person in the house. If I thought my mom was being a bit harsh to the house girl, I would be like, don't talk, it's not nice, you know, and all that. So initially, I really thought I wanted to do that. And I also took courses in that direction. But along the way, we did some practical, what we called clinics in law school. And one of them was in criminal law. And I thought, once again, that I always wanted to be, if I did criminal law, I would be a criminal defender. In my mind, I don't know, now I look back and I'm like, gosh, I was so one-sided. I always would think, oh my God, those people being arrested and they haven't done anything. They need somebody to stand up for them and get them out. And then one day somebody challenged me and told me, what of this guy who walks into a home and rapes the kids, puts petrol on the family and burns the house? What of that person, you know, who is going to make sure that that family gets justice? And that's how I ended up in a prosecution clinic. Because initially my mind could not figure how I can be a prosecutor, the one putting people behind bars, yet I've always thought I want to be a defender. But now once those scenarios started playing, that's how I ended up doing that. And when I went into that clinic, even before I graduated, I was hired as a prosecutor by the state of Texas. So I actually worked for the US government for a long time. And it was not easy because initially, in fact, I remember my brother, and I just say this to sort of encourage people when people tell you can't. I've always had, I don't know, I think when people tell me I can't, then I really, you know, I really get going to make sure that I can and I can prove you wrong. So I remember my brother telling me, he was like, oh, you know, how are you going to be a prosecutor with that Kenyan accent? How are they going to hear you? You know, in the US, the system is different. Because generally, almost all cases are decided, most of them by jury trials. Be they very small cases, like maybe DWI, which are very common, or a minor case, all the way to the death penalty. Generally, people don't trust the judge to do the trial. Generally, I mean, some are. I'm nothing against the judges. I'm just saying, generally, most people tend to prefer the jury system. And now with the jury system, they have to sort of, if you're prosecuting the case, they have to sort of understand what you're saying so that they can they can go your direction that you're trying to persuade them. So I remember my brother telling me how, no, this was actually before law school. He was like, oh, that is one of the most expensive law schools. How are you going to pay for it? And I was like, so he wanted me to apply to another one where everybody then would have thought that one is easier, you can afford. Somehow I applied, I got lots of scholarships, and I got that done. At the time also my father helped me a bit, and we got that done. So then that was initially. So then I get into the prosecution, and they're like, oh, you can't, no other foreigner ever gets. And in fact, when I got employed at the DA's office, that was the district attorney's office, I think I was probably in that year the only black person out of a group of about 100. So now not only am I a black person here, but I also have an accent. So I've never had it easy. Even in my law classes, we had big clusters of about 300 students, and I think in my year we were probably 4 or 5 black students. So I have never been mainstream, and sometimes I say that's why I really understand about minorities and marginalization, because I've sort of grown up in that system where you are not mainstream. So anyway, I did that. They thought, okay, with your accent, you're not gonna get it. I actually got it. And I prosecuted, I loved it, I went through the system. You start as a junior and learn your way through to being the chief prosecutor of a court. I did that. And then I woke up and I decided, now let me go the direction that I want. I always wanted to do immigration. So I then, one day I woke up about 5 years in, and I quit a very good job at the time, very solid, moving up very fast, and I decided to open my own law firm in Dallas. And I remember one day I had an aha moment. So it was also very courageous to do that at the time, because you leave the safety net and the comfort of a job that's paying your bills, that you're comfortable, you're moving up. In the US, by the way, prosecutors are very respected. I mean, I'm not saying they are not here, but I'm just saying it's one of those jobs. Like I would come to visit Kenya, and when I'm at the immigration desk, they would ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a prosecutor. And they're like, welcome home, fellow law enforcement officer, because you're a law enforcement officer. So people didn't understand why I would leave that to go hang my shingles and not know for sure what will happen. And I remember one day driving, because it was a big highway from downtown Dallas where I had my law practice, to going home. And one day I almost broke down, and I thought I had made a mistake. Because now you're relying on people coming in. Eventually, you even start doing traffic tickets. Yes. Somebody who was prosecuting murder cases, now I'm doing traffic tickets to sort of get my name out there. But I did very well in immigration law because my criminal background really helped. Because a lot of people are deported due to, perhaps you're picked up due to some you've come into contact with the criminal system. So if you have an attorney doing immigration who doesn't understand criminal law, then it becomes very hard. So I managed to really fight the US system and keep many people there, like from being deported. So the law firm just grew and was doing good. And then one day I woke up and I was like, you know what? I always wanted to go back home and do and get into politics. And the same brother who once told me I couldn't afford that, a very expensive law school, who also said, they came to my house and he said, are you normal? You leave all this. By then my practice was really doing well. In fact, I was doing immigration for so many Africans, Kenyans especially, a lot of Africans. I would be doing from other states, in Minnesota, in other areas where I wouldn't even meet the client, the family. They would just wire money to me, say tomorrow show up for this, and I would be able to handle. So it was doing very well. The name was out there, one of the top immigration lawyers now in town. And here I am. I wake up, and for some reason, even I wondered to myself, do I have this thing where when I get completely set up, then I wake up and I'm like, I want to walk away. And for my family, really, they didn't. To be very honest, I was on my own, because everybody was like, why would you do that? And I remember one day in my office, a friend of mine comes, and I had a nice corner office, and you could see the highway, and you know, those are like 5 lanes this way, 5 lanes. And she asked me, she was like, you're gonna leave all this to go to Kenya where they don't even have roads? Like, what are you doing? And even I think the one gift my father gave me, I never second guess myself. Like, and maybe it's a bad thing, I don't know, but it's what has propelled me to this point, because I never feel scared. So you can imagine, I'm moving to Kenya in 2012, the elections are that year, and I tell everybody now who will listen, if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been afraid, because I came and wanted to go for MP. Now, from where I'm sitting here, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I'm already somehow putting my structures for 2027, and everybody else is doing that. Don't be cheated. So my point being, imagine me coming back home 6 months to an election and really thinking I had a chance. Do you know how crazy that is? So, and then I had also been gone from Kenya for about 20 years. So it was really crazy. Like, I would go, some boundaries were not very clear, and then these guys would come, they're like, yeah, ni wewe tunachagua nini tupange, and then I would panga, and then when I leave, somebody tells me, that was Nakuru Town West and you are looking for a seat in Bahati, because the lines are, so it was really trial by fire. So obviously I did miserably, but that's okay. So that didn't work. And I had told myself, by the way, okay, the reason I came when I came, I knew that the new constitution was a lot more friendly to women than the previous one. Yes. So I had always told myself, by the way, before my dad passed away, he always told me that I needed to come back and run for office. But at the time I was young, I was in school, I was thinking America is the place to be. I'm like, what are you talking about, really? So I wasn't really there, yeah. So now when I come back and it doesn't work, I didn't think I'll stay. I'm being very honest. I thought, well, at least I'll never live the rest of my life trying to figure, what if I had gone, what if it had worked? I've done it, it didn't work. Pesa yangu ikakuliwa yote. I mean, you know how that goes. So I was really in a sad state, because I truly believed I could win. I wasn't doing it just to do. And then they would tell me, ni wewe, and I believed them. Can you imagine? I actually believed. And somebody else tells me later, I didn't know that at the time I would have been very devastated. That the same groups you are seeing, they would wear your t-shirt and then they have another 3 inside. So when you leave that same house, they tore yours, the next client comes in, it was really bad. So politics is really tough. So anyway, it didn't work. I was about to go back to the US. I had decided I hadn't completely closed down my practice. I had sort of downsized, wasn't taking new cases when I was here, but had some partners finishing up what I had already left. So one day, believe it or not, I'm getting ready. I had actually decided I was going to put my furniture on this website where you can sell it. Yes. Like I was done. I was like, I'm out. I just used all this money. I didn't get anything. And then they cheated me and I believed I'm out. And then I'm feeling, now my family, and then they had told me not to do it. Everybody is looking at you like, we told you, basically. I in my mind, I figured that was probably what when I'm out of the room, they're probably like, we told her, So I'm about, actually, visualize this. I'm about to put my furniture on this. A friend of mine who had also come back from the US and was moving, didn't quite work, told me about a page for expatriates where you put your furniture. All I wanted at this point was my money for my ticket now back to the US for me and my 2 daughters. So I have taken pictures of my furniture. I'm about to put it, and then I see a paper, and I swear, I tell you, you have to listen. God speaks to me somehow. There is God somewhere in me. There is God somewhere who speaks to me. I'm sitting there. I remember it was a Sunday, and I was bored. I don't have anything to do. I'm just in the house. I see a newspaper, and it's talking about speakers. That, they had it. It was a big spread, and I need to one day look for that paper, because that was my destiny. That's what changed my destiny. Because I was about to leave, remember, and go back now to the forever practice of law. Forget Kenya, forget everything. Nimerudi. Mimi, watch I go stay in that more 8 to 5 world. So I'm reading, and it has a spread of county by county. And then I noticed all of them were lawyers, the people who were running for these positions of speaker. To tell you the truth, I didn't even know what a speaker was. Like, it's not something I had thought about. It's not something I wanted. It's not something I was even really alive to. So I thought to myself, yeah. And then in Nakuru, obviously, there was a lawyer who I think had accompanied the then president, the Uhuru, to the ICC. I think that's what it was. He was part of his ICC case and all that, helping with all. So now, with that alone, it was just enough to send fear among everybody else. In Nakuru, inaenda na huyo, even Uhuru amesema ni huyo. So I said to myself, you know what, by the way, and that's why I say, someone who has nothing to lose is a very dangerous person. That's the only reason I decided to throw my hat in the ring. I was like, well, see, I'm a lawyer. See, I'm already here. What is the worst that could happen? See, I just fail again. Yeah. And then now I go, kabisa. So I also didn't know what it takes. How do you even get elected? Then I looked for my friend who then became my 4, who is now, I hope, my friend. We've been Gojiri.
Yes.
So me and Gojiri, we met another guy, a friend of ours, who was very well versed with the constitution. So we went, and I remember it was, no, I think I read the paper on a Saturday. Now this is Sunday. We met this guy in Serena, and we went through it, and he was trying in his mind to convince me, oh, hey, go for a CC or a CS. I was like, no, I don't want that. Yani, this one, I'm just doing it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'm out. So we went and sat, and we started, okay, we mapped out the MCAs, Nini. Because I had ran for MP, I already knew all the MCAs of Bahati. And because we used to have, then it was called TNA meetings, I knew some of the ones from Subukia and all that. So that is why now together we started mapping out by constituency, meeting the MPs. But now the guy who was the front runner really had a very solid group from Joro Molo. Now, my then governor here in Nakuru, Kenodia, who is my good friend, at the time, pia akanifichia white. So we met him, we were like, so Gojiri told him, and then Kenodia told me, your dad was my friend, I'll support you. But he had a candidate for speaker, and I didn't know. That was so naive then. I just believed everything everybody told me. They would tell me, I'll vote for you. I'm like, oh, thank you, I'm good, that's one vote, So we really worked hard, and we did it now. We really went out of our way. We worked hard, we consolidated. Kina Mpigekari came on board and others, and so now it was us versus the Molo Njoro group versus the Kenodia group. So we went all the way anyway, and imagine what, when we went to the vote, I won. But I didn't win outright. There's a certain, you have to get, I think, 2/3, a certain threshold, and I was off by 1, so we had to repeat. So when the other group of Njoro Molo saw that they couldn't win, they also now came on our side. So I just won, and I became the speaker. And that's how my political journey began. So I was the speaker of Nakuru County for 5 years. God blessed me within those 5 years. I'm also by nature a curious person. And so I was able to move around as a speaker to the wards and learn with the MCAs what's going on everywhere. And that gave me a very good platform. And I was really elected by very many votes for senator in 2017. And I thought it was a natural progression from a speaker to a senator, because then it's county-wide and it's a lot to do with devolution and all that. I'm a big advocate for devolution. And from there, after the 5 years in the Senate, I thought all the things that the goals and the things I've always wanted to do, I can better achieve them as a governor. And here we are. How is that for a story?
I must commend you. You have quite a sterling journey. And I'm sure for the girl child in this country, looking at your story and listening to your journey from where it began up to where you've reached, I'm sure this is one story that should encourage and just lift up any girl child in this country to believe that once you put your heart in it, it happens. No matter what, no matter how big the obstacles. Governor, I'd like to ask you, in Rift Valley, you're the only female governor.
True.
Out of all the governors in Rift Valley. And here in Nakuru specifically, which is perceived as a city in this country, you ran against very strong candidates. Would you be kind enough to just take us through what was your strategy? How did you beat these people? How did you make it?
That's a good question. First, remember I told you, God first. Yes. Even if you check my WhatsApp profile, it says God's child. Because God's favorite child. Because sometimes, honestly, I'll be lying to you if I tell you it was my doing. Because nothing in, even what I've told you in my story, nothing points to why I should be where I am. So I am a true believer in God's favor. That's unmerited. I'm not any better than the others, right? But what it is, I also think our people can see the genuineness of a person. And I feel that I've always had this passion to make things work, to make lives better. I have lived differently in a different world. So I know better. And how they say when you know better, you do better. So in my mind, I can look and I can feel like we are not where we need to be. And I also feel that my personality perhaps resonates a lot more with the people, with your everyday person, because they see I'm not doing it just because I want you to vote for me. I'm doing it because it's genuinely from my heart. As far as strategy, I would say that my approach has always been, honestly, when I tell you, from the bottom, like bottom up, like in as far as, even in, okay, let me back up a bit. In my campaign for Senate, I ran against one of the top billionaires in this country. Unfortunately, he's since passed on. I also ran against some political heavyweights, such as Koigi Amwere. You know, those were people, when you talk about Koigi Amwere in Nakuru, everybody knows who that is. And you have to visualize, I'm a little girl even in stature. You know, like, here I am. So initially, there is always this first approach of, they think you can't even do it. You know, they're looking at you, they're like, this one, how? You know? But for me, what I do, I don't pay attention to that. And I don't let anybody discourage me. I go back to the basics, which is back to the villages. You will find me on any given day, even last week. I was somewhere in Kabatini, sitting down with the people from that village on the grass, letting them actually tell me what the issues are. You know, somebody told me actually, one of my people, I won't say who, because they might be in this room. After that, they asked me, what was your feel for that meeting? Because there was a lot of, they were, I let them talk. And they were like, hey, hakuna nini, and she was a bit concerned. And I told her, by the way, that is the best. I like that. When people are quiet, you should be afraid. You should be afraid. But I've gotten to where people feel comfortable enough to come and tell me, hey, in this dispensary, there is no medicine. Because they also know when they tell me, I will act. And they also know that I mean well for them. So they in their minds, they're like, there is perhaps no medicine because she doesn't know. And once she knows, she'll make it happen, right? So one, I also think my work has spoken for itself. So I also don't think it's just rhetoric. It's not just saying, I'll do. I think if I would be, let me say it in a very humble way, I think I have outperformed every position that the people have given me. And because of that, they have a lot of faith and a lot of trust and a lot of hope in me. And that's why sometimes it's even hard for me to sleep. Because when I go to bed, I think, oh my God, I told the ladies, the women of Nakuru, your grandmothers cannot have carried mitungis on their backs. Our mothers carried mitungis on our back. My age mates carrying mitungis on our back. Our children will not carry mitungis on our back. And they know I'll do it. So they know where I walk the talk and I keep the promises that I make. Yeah, so I think that has worked for me. And I think it will continue to work because I'm very clear in my head. The position I have, the being called governor, that's neither here nor there. You know, that's not important. In fact, I even get uncomfortable when somebody calls me Your Excellency. My people will tell you. And I know some governors don't like when I say that because they tell me they fought very hard to get that title. But for me, I think that's miscellaneous. That's just vanity. What's important at the end of the day? I look at my father, and he was a man who never went much to school. He settled so many people in this county, in Laikipia, in other places, that even a lot of my votes are not because of me. They say that child of Kihika, tunampatia, especially the older mamas and babas. They are like, tunampatia huyo, alitupea hii kashamba tunaishi, ni yeye alitupea. So I'm very clear in my head that I must leave a legacy. And the only way I leave a legacy is by working very, very hard.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency Governor. You know, as much as you don't like the title, I would like to still take you a little bit on that thing that you just said. You realize that Nakuru is the fourth largest city, and it enjoys city status.
Absolutely.
How do you manage the rigors and the challenges and the demands that come, one, with the provision of services like health, maintenance of amenities, water, public transport, education, agribusiness, and SMEs. How do you balance that in such a demanding environment?
Actually, that's a very good question, because part of, and back to what we were talking about, part of my work is cut out for me. I'm very clear about that. Because when I come in here, like I said, I am a child of this city. I have seen this city since I was an infant, since I was a baby, basically. And nothing gives me more pride than a functional Nakuru County, a functional Nakuru City. So, in my day-to-day, with my staff and with everybody, with my team, I make sure that service provision is our number one thing. That is the business that we are in. So when we talk about public transport, for example, when you look at Nakuru, and I am sure you went out there, I was told you walked around a bit, you can see and feel how vibrant it is. When I first came into office, one of our big differences between myself and the governor that I beat out of office, Governor Lee, was the public transport, matatus back in town. He had removed them, and I felt that I understood what he was trying to do in some way, but I also felt it was not done properly. It was not humane. So during our political contests leading up to the election, my thing was I will come in and I'll reverse it. And I believed that it was necessary, not just as a populist idea or initiative, but because it made sense. Do you know this town was dying? It was not as vibrant as you see it right now. So what we did, though, I'm also a responsible leader. And I decided I'm not just going to bring matatus back in town and put all of them back. Because it's also a small city for the number of matatus we have. So what I did, we kept the matatu park, the bus park that is opposite as you come into town. So we kept it. And what we did, and it took months. By the way, even they, the matatu stakeholders, were a bit impatient with me at first. They said, you see these politicians, they come and say they'll do. Ameingia kwa ofisi miezi tatu na hajafanya. And I told them, there is one thing, and they all know me for that. I'd say, you can accuse me of many things. You can accuse me of many things, but you will never be able to accuse me of being a liar, because I keep my word. So I told them, just be patient. I want to do it properly. So it took months because we had very many meetings with our stakeholders. And what we did, I made sure everybody, first of all, in this town running a matatu business, you have to be in a circle. So with these circles, we would give you only 2 vehicles in town. We give everybody a stage, so to speak. So every circle only gets 2 vehicles, and the others are in the holding area, which is across the street outside of the town. So so you have the one that is filling up and then 2 more. So as one leaves, then another one is called in. And that is the way we managed to have our cake and eat it, so to speak. We made it a win-win for everybody. I'm a stickler for order. So I like order, because I also do not believe, like I said before, I have seen better, I know better. I cannot come and have a haphazard city. But on the other hand, everybody was crying. It was becoming a ghost town, because without any matatus, all businesses were shutting down. People are not being able to sustain even the rents. And I'm telling you, and I wish you go around town and take some clips. If we had even planned it better, we would have gone there today. Everybody is now so grateful because there is order. Matatus are back, but not wholly, so partially, in an orderly way. But businesses have now woken up. It's a vibrant city again. So as far as mobility, we have big plans. I'm sure you know we have an airport that's under construction right now. It's called the Lanette Airport. I keep engaging our boss, the party leader of UDA, His Excellency the President, on that airport so we can finish it quickly, in addition to my friend CS Murkomen. So our plan, in fact, the boss keeps telling me, give me a date in March when I'll come to launch it. So our plan is we are giving ourselves the first quarter of the year, that airport must be finished. So once we have that airport, I mean, you can't imagine Nakuru being without an airport. Such a big city, such a big county, actually. And with all that's going on here, from the tourism, we have a lot of tourism, to horticulture, to everything. So what will happen then is we have a very big mobility plan. We have a mobility plan, urban mobility plan for the city. And it will link our airport, the Lanette Airport, link it with the link roads in here, and our road transport. And you know we have a railway line. There is the SGR until Naivasha, which at some point when the money is able to do it, that line will go all the way past Nakuru, and the old line, which also is still functional. So we want to link that, plus also we are trying to do, if you walk into our city, you'll see a lot of greening, a lot of footpaths, so that people are also able to walk around. So we have very, very, very big, good plans on our urban mobility. In addition to that, my big challenge is water. As a county, we are a water scarce county. From our CIDP, you'll see that we have 50% less of the water that we need in this city. In fact, this Nakuru town right here needs 80,000 cubic meters of water per day, and we only have 45 as we speak. Every day we have 45. So that leads to a bit of having to ration during, say, the dry areas, but times, but also speaking a lot with our people to be able to do water harvesting. We are adding a few more boreholes, which will add to the water of this town. But the big plan there is to make sure that the Itare Dam is completed. That's a big one, and His Excellency is also very aware. That is one of our big legacy projects with him, because we really promised once he came, bad politics stopped it. Together, we are going to make sure that it gets back working. He keeps giving me the status update, and so very soon, before the end of the year, that should commence. And once I have that Itare Dam done, it will completely give me up to the 80,000 cubic meters that I need per day, in addition to much more, and supply to Njoro, Molo, Kuresoi, some parts of Rongai. So there is a lot of plans with that, and as a county, what we are doing in the meantime is making sure we have more boreholes, equipping them, and solarization is also happening, because we are trying to cut down on our power bills. So that's happening. As far as the hospitals in the health sector, like, it's a very, this county, you know, someone once told me, Nakuru County is one county that is, the diversity of it is our greatest strength. That means you, him, her, anybody can easily move here and feel comfortable. No offense to other counties, but the other counties, even you just say the name, people think, okay, I probably wouldn't be comfortable, because another one, but Nakuru is one of those, it's like Nairobi. So with that, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I have a very, very quickly growing population, because a lot of people who are insecure in other areas move here. A lot of people who want to do businesses because of the big population, and therefore the businesses who do well move here. Just for whatever reasons, you have a lot of people moving here. So with that, we have a lot of hospitals. And what we are doing is, one of my big agendas in my manifesto, which I have started fulfilling, is making sure that every of my 11 constituencies has a level 4 hospital. And as of right now, only 3 do not have. This is Subukia, Kuresoi North, and Rongai. Subukia, actually, I came in and immediately did a groundbreaking on it. It's done almost 50%, so that's continuing. In Rongai, the land is there, and we have it now in this financial year, this budget. So we are going to be tendering for that very soon. In Kuresoi North, it is also there in our budget. We have put money in the budget, but we shall be procuring land in a place that's more central for everybody in that constituency, because the place where they had was too close to Molo, so it didn't make any sense. So I'm working on that, and I want that to be part of my legacy, making sure in this term every constituency has not just a level 4 hospital, but a functional level 4 hospital. And what I have also done is, part of our money may not necessarily be enough. I have reached out to other partners who are helping us in health financing, who are, cooperating with us and helping us get there. In addition to that, we are equipping all the hospitals that had been built and had not been equipped. And I have come into office and said, we shall no longer have a tender of just building a hospital, because that's what happened last time. So you come in and you have Joro, there is a hospital not complete. You have my Mahio, a hospital complete, no equipment. Naivasha, a big facility, complete, no equipment. Here in my provincial, here in the referral hospital, you have a very big facility also, completely done, hundreds of millions done, but no equipping. So people are not being able to use. So I will no longer have any more contracts or tenders done, or any contracts done that do not include equipping, because you find that equipping is even more expensive than building the hospital. And we have stopped unless it's extremely vital in an area, maybe there is no other facility. So we are saying right now we are not starting any new ones until those ones are equipped, the ones that are currently just sitting there, not equipped. Okay, so we have partners. We are also working with the president. When he was here, those were some of the give takes that we got from him, and we are getting the Ministry of Health through the president to help us in equipping some of these hospitals. So we are also making sure that we are streamlining our human resource in the hospital, in healthcare. I know you may have heard of some noise, or she fired people. Nobody was fired. I never fired anybody. Contracts ended, and we decided that we are harmonizing that sector, because there was a problem. What they were not county contracts. They were hospital contracts. So what would happen? You find that you have 2 hospitals, let me just give an example. You have a hospital in Bahati and a hospital in Subukia. Say an example, they are both the same in size. And both of them get 2 doctors. Because this is a hospital contract. So what this hospital is doing, this one doesn't know. So you find you have 2 doctors being hired, equivalent experience, same position. One is making 180,000, the other one is making 50,000. So it didn't make sense. So we said, no, everybody reapplies. We make sure we harmonize. And those who are also performing in their jobs, because it's not just about renewing contracts. And I want that to be very clear. I am not going to sit here, have people dying in hospital lines because they say the staff is lax, it's not attending to them. On one hand, they're accusing us of, oh, your staff is lax. But on the other hand, where I say that it is not automatic renewal, that you must prove you're doing your job for you to get a renewal, then you also have people going crazy about that. So we must understand, the same way I'm given a 5-year contract. By the way, I don't have an automatic renewal. I will have to go back to the people on the ground and show them my scorecard and hope that they will agree that I continue for another term. So I hope they do that. But at the same time, I don't sit here in office assuming I'll just get, even the president doesn't. So why would you expect that any cadre should be able to just do that? So I want to have a streamlined health personnel, streamlined, but also those we are able to give promotions. We've already been doing that. Some we even converted to PNP. So we are in the process of doing all that. And it's not going to be easy because you come into office and you find that a lot and the biggest chunk of your money is not going towards development. It's going towards remunerations. And it doesn't make sense. So you find, like, maybe I was being told in an example, in a hospital, you need maybe I don't know the names of those cadres, for example. Let me just guess. Like in a hospital, you need one, like a radiographer. Yes. And then you come into that hospital, you have 7 radiographers. You need 1. But in another where you need 2, you have 0. So there is harmonization and all that. And not just in the health sector, but across in our human resource. So we are doing well. We are making some public service changes for the good. I'm sure my staff will be happier in the long run because then they'll be able to have better benefits and all that. But in the meantime, in the beginning, it's a bit tough on everyone because we have to weed even the ghost workers and all that. So that is what we have been going through. So all that is happening at the same time. On education, we are working on making sure that in our areas, the ECD infrastructure, some of it was very, very bad. Let's call it that way. I think during campaign time, I went to one where I saw like a toilet, you know, these outside toilets, where even me as a grown-up, I would be scared, leave alone a 3-year-old child trying, a 4-year-old child trying to use that toilet. So we are making sure the infrastructure where it's really bad has been upgraded. I even had a case in Naiswet where I saw children were learning under a tree. And this is Nakuru County, my friends. So I have a lot of work in terms of that. We are hiring ECD teachers as well, because in some of our facilities, the parents were paying for them. We didn't have enough ECD teachers. I'm also working on a school feeding program for my little ECD students. I have over 60,000 of them. And I hope to be rolling that in the next term. The money is in the budget. Now we are in the tendering process. And I want my little babies to be able to have a meal in school. We had a school in Rongai. Two ECD classrooms closed in Rongai because of during that famine time. Because the kids couldn't go to school. If you don't even have a meal at home, how is a kid going to walk that long to go to school and they can't? So I want to make sure there is a meal for every kid in my schools, and it will help in our retention. It will also help in cases where we've had stunted growth on these children, and it will just make our little kids healthier. So I'm happy for that. So that was health, education, transport. Can go to the next one, and water. Okay.
Maybe, Your Excellency, thank you so much for being so concise on exactly what you're doing, especially on matters those amenities. Probably, if you allow me, maybe 2 more questions before I hand it over to my colleague Yusuf. Nakuru County has a reputation for being a tourist destination. And it is one place that has got so many nice tourist sites.
Yes.
As a county government, as the executive, what is it? What is your selling point? What can you sell to the country about tourism in your county, Nakuru County?
Nakuru County is actually doing very well. And I'm excited about that. And actually, you would think I birthed Nakuru because of how excited I get even when I hear the word Nakuru. And I eventually hope that everybody feels that way when you are with your children or your family at home and you're like, okay, where do we go for Christmas? I want the destination to be Nakuru. But I want to tell you something that has come about, not necessarily out of 100% in fairness of our government doing, but it's sort of coming together because of the... it's a business-friendly county as well. Is business tourism is what we are finding we are doing very well in. And this has to do a lot with this conferencing. You'll always hear people are going to Naivasha. Because what has happened is as a county, we have good, like I said, it's a good business-wise, it's a friendly business environment. So you've had a lot of investors who've come and put up fabulous, huge, beautiful hotels in this county. And this is in Nakuru, in Naivasha, in many parts of the county. And with that, then it has gone now to the next step of where we are able to attract a lot of businesses to send their people here. Be it for meetings, any sort of meetings, some with thousands of people. We've had very many here going on. We've had a lot of conferencing, like I said, and exhibitions and all that sort of stuff. So with that, it's quickly becoming the business tourism place. And I was told by my people that we experienced about 1 million business tourists in the last financial year. So that helps a lot because it increases even our revenue for the county. It showcases our county because now, you know what happens? A lot of the, let me tell you, the day before yesterday, I had the American ambassador and her team here. Yes. We were talking on a lot of those things I was talking to you about on partnerships in some of those areas. And when we were talking and it was time for them to go, one of them told me that tomorrow I'm bringing back my whole family for the weekend in Naivasha. Yes. So what I like about it, when we talk about now that business tourism, it then ends up now bringing in now the families because you saw something while you were over here and you're like, oh, I really like that weather. Those flamingos are really beautiful. You know, also we've been blessed with in addition to just being a beautiful county, which I really believe there's no other county in Kenya that's more beautiful than Nakuru. I mean, come on. And I even believe if you guys had a choice of UDA working offsite, I know you would pick Nakuru. You came for for the rally. You saw that exactly. So in fact, when we get done here, I'm taking you to Afraha Stadium. Because when I came in, it had been done about 30% and had stalled. But now we are almost done, and I want you to go see that. Because I'm looking at your camera, and I'm pitching to the president. I also need a couple of AFCON games in Nakuru County. If we can get 2 of those, we have the facilities, we are able to host those teams here, we are able to have them practice here, we have the weather, we have the beautiful people. I mean, what else do you need to do all that? So it's really just a city that stands out. The location of it also is very central. So you don't feel, no offense to others, you don't have to catch a flight to go to Naivasha. You can just drive from Nairobi 1 hour, you are in Naivasha. You do your meetings as your family sightseeing, Hell's Gate and elsewhere. Or down here, they're in Elementaita, you come here, you do a meeting, you've left them there, they're able to see the flamingo. You know, there's a lot going on. But also the weather is very nice. It's not very harsh. It's just right. So that helps us. And we are also like in the middle of Kenya. You know, from Nairobi here, from here to Eldoret, to Kisumu, to anywhere. So Nakuru is just so central. So now that is why I keep saying, once the airport is done, oh my, we'll really be ahead. We'll really be ahead.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I would like to veer off the highway and take you to a rough road kidogo.
Oh, no.
You know, in Swahili they say muti wenye matunda mengi kurushiwa mawe mengi. Muti wa matunda mazuri ndivyo unapata mawe mengi. I'm sure this county, as big as it is, as vast as it is, with the resources and the attraction that it enjoys, there'll always be feuds and conflicts. And you are the CEO of the county.
Sure.
As the executive, how do you manage conflicts in the county? Probably that will be my last question, Your Excellency, before I hand you over to my colleague.
Okay. Necessarily conflict with any party?
With the county assembly.
Assembly. Oh, by the way, I want to say I have one advantage that perhaps many governors may not have. Remember, I've been a speaker. So by virtue of having been a speaker by the way, that was the most tough time, that first term, 2013 to 2017. because we all just had come in. Nobody had had assemblies before, so we were kind of finding our way in the dark, you know. So having gone through that for 5 years, I think it honed my people skills. And to be honest, I think that gives me a lot of advantage in being able to manage any conflict within the county, be it from the executive and the county assembly. I have a very, very, very good county assembly. I have a wonderful speaker, by the way, who we worked together 10 years ago. He was my MCA then, I was the speaker. So it sort of has come full circle. Now he's a speaker, very solid, leads the house very well. And because of that, I also have a lot of MCAs who in my 10 years, 5 as speaker, 5 as senator, we've worked along together. Our party, as we campaigned out there, remember we all campaigned together.
Yes.
Me looking for the governorship, and I would go into an area, there is those looking for the MCA. So a lot of it, even say for example, starting with my UDA MCAs, we are good, we are friends, you know. So in addition to, we have work to do, they have oversight to do, I have to run the county. Yeah, there are times where perhaps our interests may not be in sync. And maybe I've had a time or two where maybe they are a bit unhappy with this, or a bit unhappy with maybe how a certain CEC or CEO treated them and all that. And I will always stand up for them and make sure the CECs and CEOs know those are our bosses too. Because, you know, sometimes it's easy to get in an office like this, sit here and forget about the actual day-to-day now they must be like sort of, when they are summoned there, they need to show up and all that. So I've had those sort of little mishaps here and there. But what I do is we sit a lot with my MCAs. We sit a lot with the county assembly, and where there are issues, they also bring me issues of oversight. You know, before you hear it out there on TV, on radio, they'll tell me, hey, Madam Governor, are you sure there is what's happening as far as the drugs in the hospitals? We are having some complaints here and there. Or, Madam Governor, can you make sure that fertilizer is been taken to the farthest ends of the county now, based on the awards and all that? So a lot of my conflict management is really sorted through just speaking with them, just the people skills. And I think so far, I think you can bear me out. Nakuru has been very quiet, peaceful, working very well together, and I pray and I continue to work hard towards unity, so that happens to be the case for the next 5 years. And it helps a lot, because it helps you work. You know, when there is noise, when there is too much heads just banging against each other, then it's hard to think, it's hard to work, and the mwananchi suffers. So for now, we are doing good in Nakuru. I hope, knock on wood, we continue doing that good. And I have very wonderful MCAs, and I'm working hard to make sure that I also respect their roles and their and what they need to do.
Thank you so much, Madam Governor. Probably with your permission, allow me to...
Oh, okay, you said it was your last one.
So that you can take us through the rest of the questions.
Governor, you are investing heavily in agriculture.
Yes.
Of course, this county is known for milk, maize, then of course a whole sector of horticulture.
Yes.
Why is your interest in that sector specifically?
Because as much as my father was a politician, my father was always a farmer. So I know, because even back then, you know, we're talking about 70s. He was an MP in the 70s. Those MPs never made any, they didn't have salaries, but he was able to educate, and we were many, by the way, in the top schools in this country and outside this country. And all that happened through farming. So I'm very clear in my head. Many people, because it's a very agricultural county, many farmers in this county, if we just empower them, because they're very, very, very hardworking, then they'll be able to take care of their needs and those of their children. So that is why you'll see, for example, I have come in and very strongly taken on pyrethrum. Because growing up, back in the 80s, people educated their children through the proceeds of pyrethrum. It was big. And then along the way in the 90s, so 70s and 80s, it was the crop here. Nakuru was leading. Kenya was apparently, it exported 80% of the world's pyrethrum. Yes. So a lot of the parents didn't rely on bursary to educate their children. But right now, because agriculture has not been doing very well, you find a lot of people. And by the way, they work so hard because you find they work from January to December, from Monday to Sunday, from morning to night, and they're still working in their farms, but they barely have anything. So what I've done is tried to refocus. Let us go back to the cash crops that can give us money. Pyrethrum is, in fact, I call it our white gold. It is solid, white gold completely. And by my good relationship with our partners, about 3 months ago, we were able to do a groundbreaking for a pyrethrum factory here in Naivasha. Yeah, you saw that. So we have a company, in addition to our the government one, we have also another company that's doing very well in pyrethrum here in Nakuru, Kentegra, that's paying our farmers on time, because a lot of it was farmers stopped growing pyrethrum because they kept feeling as though, I grow it, you don't pay me on time, what am I going to do with it? In fact, they told me, I've never forgotten that. One of them told me that with unlike potatoes, where if they don't pay you, you can feed your kids, what do we do with pyrethrum? And I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So a lot of it was to do with payments. That was why farmers were hesitant. Now everywhere I go, in everything I do, I tell them, if you can even just give us a half an acre for pyrethrum, that would be good. In addition to that, we are very good with potatoes. But potatoes have not been, as much as farmers have been doing them and having a lot of harvests, a lot of it has been post-harvest loss, is a lot of the challenges that have faced the farmers. So you'll find that we are now doing cold storage across the county to help our farmers in storage of that. In addition to that, we are in partnership with another group to see if in our Kaips they can open a potato processing factory. That is adding value, because we want these farmers to not have to sell. I don't know if when you drive on the side of the road, you've ever seen those potato bags where they have now, this is a 50 kg bag, they have shown another one on top of it. So it's like a 90, and they are selling it at the price of a 50 kg bag. And it's really unfortunate. So part of it is that cold storage that was lacking in that chain. So in addition to that, we are also doing quite well in avocados. We are really encouraging avocados and macadamia. And then now the regular crops. So we want to make sure that every farmer has one cash crop that they are doing in their farms. And then on our part, with the guidance of the president, which has been so helpful, I am one of those, and I think I have no shame in saying it. I was not very, very good in agriculture when I first came in. Yet it is my number. If you check my 1, 2, 3 agenda, it has to be in there. So what it is, he has really brought us up to speed. And part of that is, for example, in fertilizer, where he said we shall not subsidize consumption. Yes. We shall subsidize production. So, and with that, when we first came into office, fertilizer was 7,000 shillings a bag. So in our last season, he brought it down to 3,500. Now we are at 2,500. So what I do as a governor, which I think we did very well, Nakuru did very well in the last season, we were able to then partner with the president's agenda of fertilizer, where when it comes to Nakuru, we were able to move it to last mile, back to the villages. So now we are also doing that. We've been doing that since this season also, this planting season came around. And in every part of our county, generally, in every constituency, obviously, and even down to the wards, where like every 2-3 wards, there is a certain place where we are having that fertilizer be taken to, so that our farmers really get it for 2,500, and then they don't have to pay a lot in transport. What the president has taught me very well is that, and is what I'm telling the farmers as I go around Nakuru County, I'm now become a very passionate farmer, is when they double the amount of fertilizer they use, they get double the crop. Can you imagine that? So where you are getting you are planting maybe 1 acre, 1 bag of fertilizer for maize and getting 10 bags. Now you can do 2 bags of fertilizer. And you know, by the way, then it was 7,000. So 2 bags, it's only 5,000. And you will get like 22 bags of maize. So it's the same size of land, the same amount of labor, because you still have to go plant, harvest, and do all that. The only thing that we have changed is the amount of fertilizer. And with that, you see that? So I'm really excited about that. And I tell the farmers that, and I'm like, now let us do this and see. Even myself, I've done that at my farm. The other thing Nakuru County we are pushing very hard for is in dairy. Dairy, because we do well in dairy. In fact, we are number 2 in Kenya in dairy. And what has been a challenge for our farmers is in the fodder. It's been too expensive for the food, animal feeds. So we are working on that also, like the AI, making sure we get very good quality, subsidized also for the farmers and all that. And I'm also aware that the president will be here in the middle of the week, and we have a dairy sector meeting. So it's something we are very aggressive about. So agriculture is our game changer. We are very clear on that. And the more we can get our farmers good extension services. I'm also really working hard on that as a county to make sure that our extension officers are not domiciled in the offices, but are out there in the field helping farmers so that they can get the top technology or the better seeds that we now have. You know, we can no longer just rely on rain-fed agriculture. What do we do differently? And that's why we're also talking about water, because also we need water for our agriculture and irrigation, that sort of stuff, because we do have some parts of this county, believe it or not, that are arid and semi-arid. So it's a concern for me, because I don't want to get back to the place I think it was in February and March, where I was flagging off relief food. That is not good. Yeah, so we are working hard to make sure that our farmers, there is food security, but in addition to that they have enough money for their needs, their children's school fees, their whatever needs they have. Yeah, like any other business.
Amazing. Now, to politics a bit.
Oh Lord. I thought I had run away from politics.
Now, the party which you ran on, and of course, the March triumphant.
Yes.
We're having a National Women Congress.
Yes.
In your own thinking and expectations, what will be the strategies that UDA can do to make sure that it has more trailblazers and more top achievers like you?
Thank you for that. I think, and I have been telling the ladies as I meet them, be it my MCAs or other, because I get also a lot of, along the way I'll meet ladies who now in the next time they want to run for office and they're asking, okay, how did you do it and all that sort of stuff. One, I'm very clear that it is very important as ladies to be very involved in party activities. Because the way things are set up, without a party, it becomes very difficult. And I want to say, I almost unfortunately think that part of Governor Kawira's issues may also come from the fact that she's independent, which, by the way, if you ask me, I think she even needs more accolades than even most of us, who somehow, in addition to doing my own campaigns, I was able to ride the wave of the party. So she is a very strong candidate, that one, that she was able to be elected as a governor in Meru without the advantage of a strong party with her. So, but now the flip side of that, when I look at the kind of issues she's going through, I think sometimes when you're not in a party, the challenges are more, because now along the way for us, we, as I said, we worked with these the MCAs as we looked for votes, canvassed for votes around the whole county. So by the time we get into office, you have this relationship. You also have some bits. So in a way, it feels like as an independent, you're there by yourself. So it's kind of tricky. So I would want to urge our ladies, who have ambition to run for office, and even those in office and probably obviously want to run back again like us for the same seats, because some of us, our ambition is to come back again for another term, or those who want to switch from maybe you are this and you want to go for this, and let us work very hard in the party as well, because I felt there's something I'm going to say, and it may not be very nice, but I'm going to say it. I keep telling my lady colleagues, because we have a very strong sisterhood. That's the one thing about UDA also, is we have a very, very strong sisterhood. Because as we went around the country as Inua Mama, I don't know if you guys remember that, as I ran up to the UDA and all that. So as just by virtue of that, every Friday, you can imagine, every single Friday, we were with the ladies from morning, from 7 a.m. until we would sometimes get home at 10 p.m. or whatever. During the week, we are looking for maroon clothes across and gold, I remember, you know. So we really do have a strong sisterhood. And that's the one thing I want to commend our party for. But the one thing I noticed, we were not very strategic as women. And I'll say it. I feel as though we thought by just getting out there, working hard, getting seats, if we don't get the seats, things will just somehow sort themselves out. Lucky for us, we have a president who believes in women. I will never shy from saying that, because most of us, in addition to God, and giving us favor so that the wananchi voted for us. We had a lot of help from the president, and that's the truth. But what I watched at the end of when the polls were concluded, the men were more strategic than the women. Maybe because the men have always been in the game and we are just kind of now coming and running for these top seats. Because you come in and you find that some men who are nowhere in the matrix, when we went around this country on Inua Mama, yani every day, all day, shouting back, telling off Uhuru, doing, it's no secret in the archives, doing whatever we had to do to get here. Yes. These guys, some of them were sitting pretty, wherever they were, in whichever corner they were. But now when some of those top senior women did not clinch their seats, we had even men within our UDA, other than the boss who stood firm. They would rather go get those men who are sitting pretty than these women who are out here going around the country. Because then when it comes to women, they start saying they have no capacity. When we were looking for votes, we had capacity. But now that they need to be made ministers and everything, suddenly they have no capacity. So that is the one thing I think as women, we are going to do it differently this time. We are going to be more strategic. I think we are also raised like, okay, because now what if we didn't have the goodwill of the president? Because most of my colleagues, I'm telling you, it's no secret. There are some who are now ministers who deserve it more than a lot of others because they worked very hard to get this government in place. But you had people trying to say that, they shouldn't, But now, for the goodwill of the president, we all made it. But what if in future you have a president whose goodwill is not there like that? What happens? So the women must be more strategic. We must push as hard as we fight looking for those votes out there, even at the table. We must be there and we must step forward without shame. We are raised to, even myself, by the way, I find it very hard to put my interests out there. Like you kind of, men have no shame. They'll just say, okay, I want to do what? And, and that time the achievement is a quarter they have under their belt. As women, you could have 10 times that, and you're even shy to say you want that same position. So we are going to stand up. I'm looking on camera. We are going to stand up this time around. We are not going to make it easy for the men. Okay. We are going to fight for ours as well.
Amazing. Governor, working with President William Ruto, you've mentioned a number of times that the president is so passionate about women leadership.
Yes.
What would you say more about that? Especially in the context of UDA, looking at the number of women serving in executive positions, either ministers, CSS, how do you call them, permanent secretaries, so to say. Would you say that William Ruto is a leader who's passionate about women leadership?
Absolutely. That one without hesitation. Because a lot of people tell us that they support the women, but it's more in words than in action. But when I look at William Ruto, he means it from the heart. And I have just given you an example where if we were left to some of those other men, we would have been devoured. Yeah? But with William Ruto, when he stands by you, and I am sure you have seen, he never leaves his friends behind. And even by the way, even when we had the women, what was that we launched one time? The women charter. The women charter. And we were talking about, the women will get some of the men were very uncomfortable within our own UDA circles. They felt like the women were getting too much. Sometimes we'll be somewhere and maybe we are 10 of us and 3 of us are women and they feel like we are too many women. But with William Ruto, not only does he support us by word, but he also supports us by making sure that we get big positions. So it's not just by mouth, you get. He walks the talk. And even when you just look at even the positions he gives women, maybe even some of us as governors in a county such as this, some people would have thought, a woman cannot. But my biggest supporter was always William Ruto. In fact, and even the deputy president was very supportive, by the way. And in fact, it's a joke among us because many people remember. Now I look back and I laugh. It wasn't funny at the time. And I remember we would sit as a team and figure county by county we are not doing too well, leading up to the elections. And Nakuru, the former president, really had his eyes on Nakuru. And we had a strong, contentious governorship race here in Nakuru. And sometimes things would go up, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Tight, it would get tight. And I remember one time, the president looked at me and said, Susan, you get out of Nairobi. I don't want to see you in Nairobi. You go to Nakuru now and pitch camp in Nakuru. He told me, remove those high heels and put on rubber shoes. And I felt like it was my father telling me, because that's the kind of, you feel you are being reprimanded, yes, but it comes from a good place, because he cannot imagine you not winning. So my point being, he doesn't just support you, but he mentors us. We would come, and I say it often, I know it's public knowledge. When I first started running for governor, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do in agriculture, but I've just told you, I was never very agricultural. That was not really my background. I grew up in a family that's very agricultural, but as a person, I didn't quite understand. It's just now I'm getting good at it because of the passion for it. And I remember we would be on we would hop from one meeting to the other, and by virtue of that, because it's very big distances, Nakuru is big, and maybe we have 4 or 5 meetings in Nakuru. Between the first meeting and the second one, he'll tell me, no, Susan, I don't like the way you I don't like how you said it.
Yes.
And we had a joke. I remember then, I think one time we were with CS Dwale. And the joke was that I am still at the roundabout, nimetoa signal, lakini sijaweza kuingia. You are at the roundabout, so yani hii speech yangu inazunguka tu, sijaweza, hautoki. So ananiambia, if I were you, I would put. So he is a true mentor. So not only is he a president and a friend, he's a mentor and sometimes a father or a big brother. Or sometimes, I'm also a bit of a hothead. I would have some fights with somebody who I said is my forever friend and foe. We would have, and then you call me at night. He's like, stop writing on Facebook. Because I would go on Facebook and tell somebody off. And he's like, Susan, stop. So the point being, and the reason he is truly somebody who wants to grow others. Look at his own backyard in this, our Rift Valley. Look at the people who he has brought up, the Murkomens, the Aarons, the Sudis. These are young guys, So he's somebody who is, one, very comfortable in himself, very confident in himself. So he doesn't need to like we've seen before, he doesn't need to crush people to rise, So for him, he holds our hands. He tells us, I remember one time I had a big meeting in my home. He had come. I had like thousands of people. And I think it was my first biggest at home. So he's there and he's gone there to have lunch. And I'm still in the hall trying to panga people. He calls me and he tells me off. He's like, you haven't raised anybody to be able to panga people in your absence. You get? So he's a true mentor. And personally, I say, part of the reason I'm sitting here is William Ruto and Gachagua. Kabisa. So me, I'm UDA chama wakiwa pale, mimi niko hapo na sisongi. Yeah, so they are good for our party. And that's why back to that thing as I conclude on that. They are very good for our party because they understand politics and they also grow people. You don't want people at the top of the party who are insecure because that is what we saw before and that's what has destroyed other parties. My vision, Amma, you are going to ask me, my vision for the party, what I would wish in general.
Yeah, proceed.
I'm passionate about that, by the way, because I mean it. Yes. I told you I lived in the US for 20 years. My vision for UDA, what I would wish. In the US, you talk of the Democrats, and you just know what they stand for. You talk of Republicans, and I can tell you, okay, this one, it's about business. This one, with these ones, we'll get UHC, will come on board. So I would wish we get to a place where now ideology, where we become elected. I believe, and by the way, I don't think Kenya has understood it yet, but it may come out in another by the next generation or in another 2 election cycles. This election that we just did was the first election where we did away with tribalism. Exactly. And I hope, I don't think that has been said enough. The fact that I could say no to Uhuru Kenyatta and follow William Ruto. Before that, I would generally, without thinking, just have gone and thrown my support behind Uhuru because he's my Kikuyu tribesman. But I followed William Ruto. So I believe something there happened, and history will judge us well at some, maybe not now, maybe people don't understand it right now. But I hope in another 2 cycles or so of elections, we shall be having people run for parties based on ideology. And that is where I want UDA to really grow, so that it's not just a vehicle to get elected and then it's finished, like the Jubilees we've seen, the TNAs, PNU, you know, it's just always a cycle, you know, like, okay, let us rebrand ourselves now from the yellow, let's do green, let us call it was UDA, now this time we call it DAU, whatever, or DA, whatever. I wish in 50 years and more, we are still talking, they still UDA, and people know that that is the party that comes and subsidizes production so that farmers are able to get their fertilizers to grow their crop. It is the party that makes sure markets are in every corner of this country so that the mama mboga can sell their mbogas with dignity. You have markets that have cubicles, have lights, have water, have security. It is the party that that began and made sure industrialization took off in Kenya, and we have KIPES everywhere in 47 counties, regardless of what your political inclination is. There is a KIPES in your county. In mine, it's in Joro. It's 100 acres, where now I can have value chains for avocado, value chains for pyrethrum, for dairy, for potatoes, macadamia, and that sort of stuff. It is the party where you have UHC, where if UDA is in power, you have CHPs who go among our communities and make sure that those who have hypertension, there is somebody there to make sure they are able to access medications without coming to my referral hospital. You know, because we have a system that works. You have UHC, so that when you have somebody sick in your family, it doesn't lead you to sell the small piece of land that takes care of the family, so that you can make sure your dad or mom are okay. You know, so I want us, and I pray that we get to a place where our party is a party when we just say UDA versus Azimio, for example. We know this one stands for this one stands for this, so I'm going to put my support here. That's what I wish.
Amazing. A true champion of our party. Before we leave this topic of women, Nakuru County has 8 elected women against 15. In your opinion, do you think the people of Nakuru have more faith in women leadership, or what is the vibe around women leadership?
And by the way, the one other thing you haven't captured in that,
yes,
we have the highest number of elected MCAs, of women elected MCAs. We have 8 also. Yes. Yeah. So I believe, like I said at the beginning, Nakuru people are very sharp people. And I'm not saying, no offense on those who don't elect women. I'm just saying. And what it is Nakuru tends to elect you based on your scorecard. So it's rare that you are just elected just because. You get? And that's why you find somebody like my home meaning my parents' home MP is Irene Jockey of Jubilee, in a county that was completely UDA. But sometimes they're open-minded enough to see, okay, if we give you the vote, where will you take us as a constituency, as a county, as a ward? And you also find people like Charity Kadhambi. She's the MP for Njoro. She came back another term. You will find that she worked very well in the last term. She did so much than what MPs before her had done. So they had no problem re-electing her. Jane Kihara of Naivasha. She has been in the scene. She has worked, and that means that when it comes to time again on the ballot, then they don't have a problem electing her. And that is why I was saying, even myself as a senator, I really put Nakuru on the map. Because, no offense, but the senator before that, who was the first senator of Nakuru? 2013, 2017. Who was it?
Maybe I just look
Without looking, don't look. Do you know? You can't recall. So that says what that says. You get? So, and when everybody thought, oh, the Senate is nyumba ya wazee, haina nini, we came and made it very vibrant. Yes. And we were able to, and I really fought for a lot of resources for Nakuru County. In fact, if you remember the division of revenue then, one man, one vote, 1 shilling. Ilianguka 7 times. And me, I stood, 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. Nasiku songa 7 times. And I got a lot more resources for Nakuru. So because of that, I was able to become a governor. And because of that, when when we said elect this other lady as a senator, they didn't have a problem because they know ladies perform. So I think on one hand, we have also been lucky that the women who have been here have been performing. And that is what has led us to getting elected. And even in the future, I don't think it will be, as long as we keep working, I think you'll see more women and more women. And that is why I say, even this 2/3 gender rule, you men stop frowning and saying ati amutaki, soon ni nyinyi boy child, mutakuwa munakuja kulilia that 1/3. So yeah, it's a good thing, and I feel that women also really work. Yeah.
Governors, we wrap up. The party leader has announced the December grassroots elections. You are a pioneer governor.
Yes.
A trailblazer. You know, a role model to many women within the party and outside the party. What is your message for women in regards to these grassroots elections that are coming up?
My message to the ladies of Kenya: when the UDA grassroots elections come, please participate. And participate from the ward level, all the way over the poll, not ward level, sorry, at the polling station level. Let us, because now, you know, we may be like, that day I'm busy, whatever, so you don't participate and get in at the polling station level. And then now perhaps you think, oh, me, I want to be the chair of the women, whatever, at the constituency level. And you can't be if you are not elected at the polling station level. So my plea to the ladies, as you heard me say, we learned very much last time. We fought for the party, and by the way, others would come at the last minute, and we would even be told to move so we can give them chairs. That is what happened, by the way. The men would come from I don't know where at the last minute, and we would be told, nyinyi tokeni hapa tupe wageni viti. Na hawa wageni pia ikikuja mawaziri na nini, wako pale mstari wa kwanza as well. And the women are sort of pushed to the periphery. So this time I am hopeful, and I want us to support each other as women so that the women participate, come out in your numbers, participate in those elections. And also the reason I told you the president, the party leader, and deputy party leader are true supporters of women is they have also said, where the Nini is a man, where the chairperson of whatever is a man, there comes a lady as the Nini. When it's a lady, a man. You know, by them, msi assume ati ni nyinyi tu. Msi assume ni nyinyi machea ati women vice. Venye itaenda, hata mutakuta women are there to appear, you know. So I like that because it is also going to help along. And that is why sometimes I say, even these nominated seats that you see around, I am a believer in that because sometimes the women have not been able to participate, be it because of resources, be it because of whatever the reason is. And when they are nominated, they find a platform and they are able to then be elected the next time. So hata nyinyi, the ladies, na wale munataka hata kuwa kwa siasa later, get in now, ingia huko ndani, muingie kwa hizo positions, fight for them, get inside. It gives you a platform even kujipanga for later. And by the way, do you know I had also been elected in the Inter-Parliamentary Union as the president of women members of parliament in the whole world.
Oh, amazing.
So women thing is not something I'm also just saying. It's something I truly believe in because I believe we are also as able as men. Girl child amekuja.
Kabisa.
Kabisa.
Governor, I find you visionary, smart, and I have a feeling age is on your side. 5 years after this leadership, then you're running again. After 10 years, Governor, what are your plans?
What's your vision?
That's a setup question if I ever saw one. No, really, I know you will not believe this, but I am that person who just believes in God and God guiding me. See, I told you, yes. I wake up and leave, wake up and leave. But I finally found my space. So I'm not leaving to go anywhere. My greatest desire is to be able to perform very well as a governor. I want in 5 years when 2027 comes around, even while they think right now that they'll run against me, watapotea, waende kutafuta viti zingine. Because I'll have performed so well that it will be easier. And even if they come, I am hopeful that my work will speak for itself. So for right now, my focus will be to deliver these 5 years. And then hopefully, God willing, if we are still there, we are healthy, we are able, and it is our time still, pray that I get a second term. Mimi after that, siwezi, I can't see 10 years ago. It's like, you know, when I was speaker 10 years ago asking me, where do you see yourself? Hata singejiona beyond a speaker, you get? So I think what I'll do, let my work speak for itself, and then God will guide me.
Amazing. Amazing. Governor, congratulations. You have a visionary and concrete blueprint for
Thank you.
Nakuru County.
Thank you.
This is a county to watch, and it has an amazing governor
Thank
who
you.
is committed to work.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best and success for your county.
Asante.
Asante
Kabisa.
Thank you for the time.
Asante kabisa.
And as you rightfully said, Governor, you know, the four of you, you and your colleague governors, the three other colleague governors,
Yes.
you have a Herculean task because you, in your leadership and in your execution of your duties, you are the ones who are going to determine whether other women in this country are going to get elected, are going to get trusted with the county leadership or not. And even moving forward, it's a performance as the president of Nakuru
Absolutely,
County.
absolutely.
And you decide if Kenya will have a female
Or not.
president in this country.
And by the way, you say it, and it may sound like just cliche. We tell ourselves that a lot, even together, because we are also very good friends. In addition to being colleagues, we are really buddies. And when we have issues, we sort of check with each other. Hey, wewe hapa niko na hii shida. What are you doing? How do you do this? And I tell you, we at the back of our heads, we are very happy we got these positions, but we don't also lose sight of the fact that we carry a burden. If we don't perform, we sort of determine how far women in Kenya will go.
Exactly.
If we don't do well, we sort of shut the door for other women. But if we do very well, we open the door and the sky is the limit. So we are rooting for ourselves, we are rooting for each other, and for so far, I think tunajaribu. So far tumejaribu. So far so good. Asanteni. Thank you so much. Asante. Hata ka break sikupewa kadogo. I'm very rusty.